All right, welcome back to Getting Sober, again. My name is Jay, and today I'm answering a very popular question from the comment section down below, which happens to be, why did I personally stop drinking alcohol? But first, if you care about your own sobriety journey as much as we do, we have hundreds of videos on the topics of sobriety and self-improvement. So make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. All right, let's get started. So it dawned on me the other day that I've never actually answered this question straight through. I've talked about it a little bit here and there in different videos in the past, and mostly I don't really like talking about myself. I want the videos to be as comprehensive and easily digestible as possible so that you out there, who are, regardless if you're brand new to sobriety, if you haven't started your sobriety yet, or wherever you're at, so that you don't feel alone, so that you feel educated, so that you feel informed, so that you feel like you have the most tools at your disposal so that you can get sober on your own if that's what you're trying to do, or at least to just cut back on alcohol, right? That's why we're all here. We all want to cut back on our alcohol use. So let's talk about why I decided to quit drinking alcohol, and I'll try to make this as short as I can. I can't promise it's going to be a short video. Of course, now you're in the future, you can easily see how long this video is. I have no idea. I have no script or bullet points here in front of me. So I'm just going to talk off the top of my head and try to go back to the way that I used to make the videos back in the day, which is I would just turn the camera on and I would just talk, and then whatever I said is whatever I said, and then I would make a title based off of whatever I thought the video happened to be about. But I know that today's video is about why I quit drinking alcohol. So first and foremost, the most raw and candid thing that I can say about why I quit drinking alcohol is that I felt like a loser. I honestly felt like a loser. And I'm not saying that people that drink alcohol are losers. That's just how I felt. And I know that a lot of you out there probably also feel or felt that same way, because at some point we become predictable. And I think that's like one of the greatest fears for a creative person like myself. But I think just as the human race, nobody wants to be predictable. Like you don't want people to know what your next move is, right? You don't want people to know where you're going next or what you're thinking or what you're up to, unless you're trying to build trust with your family and friends and so on. But you don't want to be predictable in bad ways. You don't want people to be like, well, where's Jay? Oh, he's probably getting drunk down at the bar again. He's probably face first in a ditch somewhere, right? He's probably maxed out his credit cards again, right? So it's like, you don't want to be predictable in bad ways. It'd be nice to be predictable, like, oh, well, where's Jay? Oh, he's probably, I don't know, he's probably at the gym, right? He's not home right now. He's probably on a bike ride. Oh, actually, look in the garage. He has bikes gone. If he's not here, he's probably on a bike ride or running some errands or whatever else. You don't want people to be like, oh yeah, he's probably over at his drug dealer's house, just hanging out, right? Just watching the game or whatever. So I felt like a loser. I felt like I was being predictable. I felt like I was honestly like wasting my talents and wasting the opportunities that I had, because like I always felt like I was destined to do more, whether or not that's true. I always felt like I was capable of doing more. And I felt like not only was I letting myself down, but I felt like I was letting down my friends. I felt like I was letting down my family members. I felt like I was letting God down. I felt like I was letting all of my ancestors who passed on before me, who gave me the opportunity to have this life, I felt like I was letting them down, right? It's like when we look back at the past, we hope that we leave some sort of good legacy, that there's good stories that people talk about, not just like these reckless, abandoned stories of tomfoolery that summarize our existence into just being the butt of a joke, right? So like I'm not big of a legacy person. I don't care if they name a library after me when I'm gone. I'm certain that that's never going to happen. I don't care if I have a statue in town square, for example. Those things don't matter to me. What matters to me is that, I found out later, isn't this the motto of the Boy Scouts, to leave the world a better place than you found it? And I've always liked to say that, and I've made that my own personal motto, but I think that's a very good motto to have, to leave the world a better place than you found it. And I didn't think that I was doing that. That was core to my beliefs, right? That was core to who I was. And at the time when I started this channel in 2018, I was still kind of on the fence. Like, I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have any peers. I didn't have anybody that I can look up to. I was sort of watching, there were some other people that were making sobriety content. And I mean, I knew that there was AA, but I knew that I wasn't gonna go to AA because I had my own preconceived notions about it. I just thought like, well, okay, if you're having mental health problems, you go to a therapist. And I was doing that, right? So it was just kind of like I was drinking every day. I was working in the service industry, which is a fancy term for saying I worked at a restaurant. I was waiting tables and bartending. So it was literally my job to peddle alcohol. And if the more that I would sell, the bigger my tip would presumably be, right? And it was kind of like a conflict of interest. It's like on one hand, I'm eating healthy and I'm taking my vitamins and I'm going to the gym, I'm exercising. And that was like me by day. By day, I'm like healthy, responsible person. And then nighttime me shows up. And then nighttime me needs like 5 tequilas and like a couple of beers to get the night started, right? And then very quickly, nighttime me needs a little something else because he drank too much, right? So it was like, I thought I was being too predictable. And it was like, alcohol obviously is expensive, right? And we always talk about how the big lie of alcohol is that just because you feel like you can afford it financially, that you can also afford it mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and also too creatively or romantically. And all of us at some point, we go through, like, we all have our shameful stories, things that we're not proud of, like how we acted, which is another reason why I wanted to quit drinking alcohol. But we have these instances of thinking that no matter what, well, I can afford whatever I'm addicted to. But one of my lowest points on booze was like, I literally had no money. And I don't mean like I was broke, how some people say that they're broke, but they have like 50 grand in their savings account or whatever. And like, no, I mean, I was broke. I had no savings account. I had no money in my checking account. I had no investments that I can cash out. It was like either I could pawn some of my stuff or I could have nothing, nothing new. But it was like, but I want a buzz. So I was scrounging through my couch cushions and looking through the dryer and under the dryer and going through, you ever do that? Like you're looking through all your pockets to see if like, oh, maybe I left a $5 in one of my pockets, or like looking through your wallet that maybe I fold up a bill that I forgot, like in the little side pocket or something. Maybe look in the console of my car. How much change do I have laying around in my little piggy bank or in the the armrest of the console of my car or whatever it is. So I did that and I scrounged up like whatever it was. It was enough to buy a 24-ounce Budweiser. And I was just kind of like, and now this is, mind you, this is like years before I finally started the channel and decided to start getting sober. But, I had plenty of low moments in my life. I mean, some of the best times in my life, just like yours, probably involved alcohol. It's like the relationship that I'm in right now, I wouldn't have that relationship had I and she not been heavily intoxicated. We probably wouldn't have talked to each other. And, so there are situations and those good memories, if we remember those good memories, they exist, right? But also too, it's like, I'm not gonna pretend for a second that some of the worst moments in my life didn't happen when I was intoxicated. I mean, I punched a wall and broke my hand when I was intoxicated, when I was drunk and angry. What kind of things have you done when you were drunk and angry? Comment down below. I mean, it's like the way I acted in public, I was ashamed of. The way I behaved in private, I was ashamed of. Sending text messages in the middle of the night that I wasn't proud of and I would regret and be ashamed of, waking up to initiating that conversation come the next morning. I mean, like that kind of vile behavior it wasn't part of what I believe the core of my person to be, right? It wasn't who I thought of when I looked back at being baptized when I was a young man. What was I, 9 years old or 11? I can't remember. It was in the 90s. There was a lot of 9s and 11s back then. But when I was a young man, when I first got baptized, when I was growing up in the church, I was like, okay, this doesn't reflect who I believe that I can be or who I believe that I should be, right? So it's like my reality wasn't matching my ideals, right? So it's like when you find yourself in this position like I was, where I was addicted. And when we think about that, when we say these things, like nobody wants to say like, I'm addicted to alcohol. What do you mean? What do you mean addicted to alcohol? You can buy it at the gas station. You could buy it at the local drugstore. You could buy it at your local grocery store. Like, it's a legal product. It's just beer. It's just wine. It's just liquor. Yeah, but it was invading almost every aspect of my life. So it's like, well, then I wasn't able to exercise as well or as long or as hard because I was still hungover and I'm like just kind of trying to sweat it out. And then it was affecting my job because I maybe didn't want to go to work and I was calling off shifts because I was partying too late the night before. I maybe actually technically haven't gone to sleep yet, right? So it was like, it was bleeding into my finances. It was bleeding into it was affecting me physically. My blood pressure was too high. It was one of the things I talked about in one of the very early videos, the 20 benefits of quitting alcohol for 30 days, which is, I think, probably to date, the most popular video from this channel. So if you're not familiar with that video, you can see again the dramatic difference of like how this channel used to be, how I used to be back then, and just 30 days sober compared to me now, right? But so like the things that I did, the things that I said, and it wasn't like every time. Again, I'm not trying to dramatize and be like, every time alcohol touched my lips, I turned into the devil. It wasn't that. It was just like, I would try to be responsible during the day, but then like nighttime me would be like, well, we were responsible all day. It's time to party. It's time to get loose. And I would get loose. I would get as loose as I possibly could. And I wouldn't care because I'd have lowered inhibitions and I'd also be drunk and or high or whatever. And it was also too, I wasn't just drinking along with it. I was also smoking cigarettes along with it. So it's like, okay, we already know that alcohol is linked to at least 7. Now they're saying 8 different cancers, but you and I both know it's more than just 8 cancers, right? And then with cigarettes too, it's like a cigarette now compared to a cigarette 100 years ago, that's a different cigarette. There are thousands of chemicals in a cigarette. And it's like, I wasn't one to smoke a pack a day. I never really smoked that much. I'd smoke American Spirit cigarettes and I would put them out like halfway, or I only smoke like a third of it and I'd put it out and I'd set it outside. But it was like one way, it was another way for me to believe like, well, I have a bad habit, but I have a healthy way of doing my bad habit, right? And I would drink, but like I would take my vitamins, right? I would have like Gatorade and stuff before and whatever else and have these good healthy habits to try to offset my bad habits. But it's like, who you're fooling. And eventually time catches up with all of us, right? They like to say time is undefeated and we will all eventually lose that battle. And I knew that, well, it's catching up with me. It's like as I am now sitting in front of you, I am 43 years of age. And I didn't start drinking until I was 21, but it was just like, oh, wow, what a miracle. What a miracle elixir this is. I'm socially awkward. And guess what? Drunk me knows a joke or two. Drunk me also is good at karaoke, and drunk me will cut a rug on a dance floor regardless of how bad I'm doing it, right? So it's like gives me all this confidence. I might even talk to somebody. I might even ask somebody for their phone number. We'll see. So it's just like, oh wow, what a night and day difference between the introverted version of me versus the intoxicated extroverted version of me. And I think that's another reason why we all start drinking in the first place. But it's like after a while, it's like, well, I think this Western mentality of if a little bit is good, then even more is better, right? And then we find out like, well, more is actually not better. We just want to believe that because we want to kind of keep the party going, right? If the first buzz was great, well, then if I can get a second peak, I keep that going. But we know that physiologically speaking, that's not possible. We know that the first high is not, or the second high isn't going to be as good as the first high, and then the third and fourth and so on aren't going to be, they're going to be even less than that first initial buzz, that first initial hit, the first initial whatever it is. So just kind of like, knowing that it takes more for me to get buzzed, it takes more for me to get drunk, it takes more for me to consume and spend for me to feel the way that I want to feel. So when you find yourself in that kind of position, it's like, man, my mental health is struggling so much so that I was in therapy, right? So I was going to therapy. I went through like 4 different therapists. I was on multiple different antidepressants. And at the same time too, and I'm drinking. So I'm like, okay, well, they're supposed to be fixing my mind and these pills are supposed to be, evening me out and keeping me from being too depressed. So like, I'm gonna drink a little bit while I'm on these antidepressants because I'm not gonna be depressed. So what's the problem? So again, it was just like broken thinking on my part, thinking like, okay, well, I'm doing this healthy thing by going to therapy, and then like I'll just drink, and then I'll I'll party and carry on, and then it'll even itself out because I already have, again, all these other good healthy habits. It was just like me fooling myself and me lying to myself. And that's another situation that you don't want to get yourself into, regardless if it's a personal situation or a professional situation, or if it's trying to get yourself off of alcohol or whatever it is. It's like the last thing that you want to do is lie to yourself. It's like you can fool other people, but the only person that you can't fool is who? Is yourself. You still see what you see when you look in the mirror. You still know what you did, who you were with, and what you should have done instead of what you actually did. And we all fall victim to that. We all fall victim to having the weight of the world on our shoulders. We said, 2 videos ago, the biggest job in the world is the job of being you. And a lot of us just don't know how to be ourselves. We don't know how to be the version of ourselves that's the employee to an employer. We don't know how to be the version of ourselves that is a child to a set of parents, or to be a parent to a set of children. And when we go through life having these different masks on, you're a different person at work than you are with your significant other, than you are with your kids if you have kids, than you are with your parents, than you are with your friends, than you are with your drinking buddies, than you are with your congregation, people from your church or whatever. We're a different person around all these different people. Even with your friends, you might act one way with one friend and you act a completely different way with your other friend, and some of these friends don't even cross-pollinate, right? And so that's a huge juggling act. And is it exhausting? Yes, it's absolutely exhausting. And will that make you feel like you need a drink? Yeah, it'll make you feel like you need a drink. So I felt like I had given all of the control to my happiness over to alcohol. I felt like it was the only thing I was looking forward to. Like I was gonna go to work and I was just going to work and I was gonna get my money. And then when I was done, I was going to drink. It was a no-brainer. Like, I'm an adult now, I make money, I can afford it. So if I can afford it and I'm paying my bills, well, what's the problem? Well, the problem is my mental health was degrading. My physical health, of course, every time you look in the mirror, it still looks pretty much the same. It's all still there. Your pants either fit or they don't fit, or maybe you're just putting on sweats for a little while, right? You figure it out and you kind of like roll the punches, you adapt for better or for worse. And so it's hard to see, whether it is like if you're gaining weight or if like, you're rotting from the inside from alcohol or drug use or whatever it is. You don't really see it. And that's like the problem. One of the big problems with alcohol use, you can't just like, open the hatch and see like, all right, liver still, that's mostly, I guess, it's supposed to be dark, right? It's dark. There it is. All right. So we're good. Let's go drinking, right? And I feel good now because it's 5 o'clock and I've been sober since I had my last drink at midnight last night. So I've had all day to sober up, and you get kind of stuck in that loop, in that cycle. So it was like, it was costing me time. It was costing me energy. It was bringing me down, again, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. It made me feel like I couldn't be counted on, or I couldn't be relied on. I felt like, the people in my life maybe weren't coming up to me and say like, hey man, I'm not really sure if I can trust you with the bigger and better things in life. I don't know, how far our journey is gonna coincide as friends or as, loved ones or whatever it is. But it's like, you don't have those conversations. It's just what happens is you start to have less conversations, and maybe those relationships start to drift in different directions. And it's like, and I could feel it, like we're all sensitive enough if you give yourself enough time to stop playing the music for a little while and stop distracting yourself with Netflix. And if you just sit in silence, every now and then. How many times have you found yourself coming up with wonderful ideas when you're just sitting in total silence, just driving your car to work, right? When you're bored, or when you're in the shower, like right before you try to go to bed, and all of a sudden you're thinking about everything you've done wrong for the last 20 years. It's like, and some people are afraid of that, right? They're afraid of the silence. They're afraid of being with themselves, right? Because we always talk about the most important relationship that you're ever going to have is the relationship that you have with yourself. And I felt like I was cheating on my future self with my past self that I no longer wanted to be, right? I was like, I don't want to be this person that's inconsistent and unreliable and unhealthy and all of the uns. Like, I want to be more than I am right now. And what I am right now is, again, I feel like I'm kind of being a loser, right? I felt like if I kept on this trajectory, it would be a matter of time before I did get a DUI. Luckily, somehow by the grace of God, thank you, Lord, I've never gotten a DUI, right? I've been pulled over, don't get me wrong, I've been pulled over while intoxicated. But because I was such a functioning alcoholic, if you want to call it that, a high functioning drinker, I like that phrase better, a high functioning drinker. Because I was that, I was able to talk my way out of getting a breathalyzer or having my sobriety questioned. And I'm not saying that to brag. It's just like, but that's just kind of the state of where I was over the course of 2 decades of drinking almost every single day, right? And in some cases, every single day. On top of that, doing a little bit of this and maybe a little bit of that to go along with it. So I wasn't really proud of myself, right? So it was kind of like, I knew I had potential. So much potential that, what are we doing here right now? It's like, I've been blessed with this opportunity to be able to run this channel, to have this channel called Getting Sober Again, that as of the recording of this message has over 67,000 subscribers. And that's peanuts compared to like, top very entertaining YouTubers, right? But this is not a very entertaining channel. I try to be as entertaining as I can with this very sobering topic of alcohol sobriety. But with all that being said, it's like, I feel very lucky and I feel very grateful and I feel very privileged knowing that I did see that I had that potential and that my friends and my family members did see that I have that potential. And I was right in assuming that I could do more and I could be more. And that even though I had a temporary detour along my sobriety journey from being my best self, that I still recognized and I kept the flame lit inside of me, knowing that I could do more, that I could be more, that I could come back to this channel. This channel, which is No Judgment Sobriety, and tell my story and to get myself into gear and to make more helpful videos, tell people along their sobriety journey, whether they haven't even started yet, whether they're the first week, the first month, or the first year. And it's easy when you have yourself in a drunken haze every day with the brain fog, with the anxiety, with the depression, with feeling hopeless and helpless, not knowing where to go or who to turn to, looking around and seeing that like, okay, all my friends also drink all the time. I tend to gravitate towards people who only drink excessively. My family members drink, my coworkers drink, and I don't know how to be around anybody or do anything without drinking. I mean, that's how I felt. And it was like, I curated my environment to be surrounded by enablers, people who would enable me to drink and to enable me to live this lifestyle that I no longer wanted to live. So at some point, I knew it was going to be uncomfortable. But here's the thing. You can either be uncomfortable now, or you could be uncomfortable now and later. That's your choice. So that's what this channel is all about. It's all about self-improvement. It's all about alcohol sobriety. It's all about getting yourself off, if you want to get off pills, if you're getting off of nicotine, if you're getting yourself off of some illicit drugs, whatever it is, you know that your life is out of balance. You know that you've got aches and pains inside of you like I did, or like I had a high blood pressure. I was scared to go to the doctor because I don't want to honestly tell the doctor like, yeah, I'm drinking on average at least 10 units of alcohol a day. And then he's gonna be like, well, duh, no wonder why your pancreas is failing. No wonder why you have cancer. I don't have cancer, but we all fear going to the doctor and having them do our blood labs and things like that. So it was just kind of like, once I started adding it all up, and it was just like, let me ask myself an honest question. If I stop drinking alcohol, is it likely that I won't have to deal with these problems anymore? And then the answer seemed shockingly obvious, and I'm certain that you understand what that feels like. That's your subconscious talking, right? You know that if I end this one thing, it doesn't mean everything. It doesn't mean that you have to stop everything else. It's like the sacrifice that you make of getting rid of this one thing, of ending this one thing to gain everything else. And I had a sneaking suspicion, which I found out was true, that if I give up alcohol, my mental health would improve. If I give up alcohol, my physical health would improve. My emotional health would improve. My spiritual health would improve. My financial health would improve. I would be more creative. I would have more opportunities to be the person that I wanted to be. And I'd be able to look back and see the proof in the effort, in remembering one of my favorite quotes, which is, the magic that you're looking for is in all the work that you're avoiding. Think about that one for a moment. So once you're open and honest to having that conversation with yourself, to looking at yourself in the mirror and to honestly ask yourself if this is something that you believe that will benefit your future. Alcohol's not going anywhere, by the way. It's always going to be there. You can always go back to drinking just like you always have, just like I always did in the past. But it's up to you to find out what you're made of. It's up to you to find out if maybe I don't need to be on antidepressants after a couple of months, because maybe alcohol was causing the anxiety and the depression that I was feeling on a daily basis. Wait a minute, it was just as simple as that. And I'm not saying that it will be just as simple as that for you, but that happened to be the case for me. After I stopped drinking alcohol, I was able to come off of my antidepressant medications. I stopped going to therapy. I didn't have to worry about my blood lab results. I didn't have to worry about the aches and the pains in my stomach anymore. Everything started to heal for me. So I'm happy to share this information with you. I'm glad that if you hadn't heard this story before, that now you finally got caught up on, the reasons why I stopped drinking alcohol in the first place. And comment down below, where are you in your own sobriety journey? Are you finally past your first week, your past month, or you're finally past your first year? And I'm very proud to be able to, that was the thing about this channel. We started this back in 2018. To hardly anybody watching it, hardly anybody subscribing. But now it's like, as the channel continues to evolve and we all continue to grow together, it's like people are saying, I'm 2 years sober now, and I'm 3 years sober now. And I never thought that. Like, I had very low and little expectations when I first started this channel. I just turned the camera on just like today, and I just started talking at the camera. But now it's just like, wow, I was right. I had potential and I was able to do something with it. So I'm glad that not only was able to get sober, but I was actually able to do something with it in a very meta way, that I was able to quit drinking and then talk about it and then help other people to quit drinking alcohol and then getting back to living their best life. Because who knows, we might cross paths one day. I might see you out in the wild and I would love to be able to cross paths with somebody in a very natural, organic way and find out that your life is improved, that your home life is improved, that maybe you're a better husband or better wife, you're a better parent, you're a better employee or a better employer. Who knows? So the sky is the limit, and it's up to you to find out. And we always love to hear how your progress has come along, so don't forget to keep us informed. And with that being said, if you haven't yet, don't forget to show your support for everybody here in this sobriety community by leaving this video a thumbs up. But if you're ready to binge watch another one of our helpful videos, don't forget to click on the link in the top corner of the screen. With that, I want to wish you good luck on your self-improvement journey, and I will see you in the next video.
If you want to see another one of our videos, click here.